Okay, so we talked about receipt of goods as an invoice modifier. Next thing we're going to talk about is something that looks like this. So let's say our invoice date is April 19th. The invoiced amount, $2,700. Our terms, $210 EOM. Two things you'll notice here. The net 30 is gone, or the net 60, whatever is gone. And we have EOM. EOM stands end of month. Where this comes from, generally it's used with smaller companies. A larger company has a staff that they can send out invoices and bills every day. They can receive payments every day. But they have a staff dedicated to just billing and payments. A smaller company may not have that single person dedicated to that task. They might just have a general bookkeeper that keeps the books and handles all the payments and invoicing. Or maybe one of the managers takes care of that part of it. So they don't have every day to dedicate to it. So they pick, maybe a couple of days a month that they handle invoices and payments. Or they might have once a week that they do it. Well, since we can't cover all the possible models in this course, we're going to take a model where they do it once a month. And now the date that they choose to do it could be the 13th of every month, could be the second Friday of every month, could be the first Monday of every month, whatever. It doesn't matter. But again, since we can't cover every possible date, we're going to choose the last day of the month as the day that it gets handled. So what will happen, here's the month of April. Year starting, then May would start right here. The month of June would start there. The invoices that are put out in the month of April are all going to get gathered up and they're going to get handled. They're going to get invoiced and billed on the last day of the month, on the last day of April, which would be April 30th. Is going to be their effective invoice date. So EOM means the end of the month, or the last day of the month is the effective invoice date. Now you notice I stopped here short of the end of the month. Why? Well, because between the loading docks and the shipping department, there might be a lag in getting that paperwork up to the main office or the bookkeeping or whatever. Because of that lag, there might be slips here in the last couple of days of the month that don't get into that batch. Which means, of course, there's going to be slips here from the end of the last month that didn't get into the March batch that end up in the April batch. Now, again, each company is going to have a different cutoff. Some companies, it might be 2 days before the end of the month or 3 days before the end of the month. We are going to use anything on or after the 26th of the month. Goes into the next month. So anything on or after April 26th is going to get put into the May batch. It'll actually be invoiced then on the last day of May. So what that is telling us, of course, with this one being April 19th, its effective invoice date is going to be April 30th. So its timeline is going to start on April 30th. So the 210 is going to end on June 10th. That's where the 2% discount would be. And then EOM is always implying that it's due by the end of the next month. Sorry, May 10th. I'm sorry. I skipped a month there, didn't I? You are correct. It's May 10th. Sorry about that. And then this would be due on May. What's the last day of May? 31st. So that is due on the last day of that month, May 31st. Because that's when they're coming back to do the books again. They'll take in the new payments and they'll send out the new invoices. So let's say that we have an invoice dated March 23rd, an amount of $5,200. Terms are 210 EOM. Find the amount if paid on April 8th. Let's do our timeline. Where does this timeline start? March 31st. Good. End of the 2% discount? April 10th. Always going to be on the 10th of the month. It'll end, the last day of April is 30th. There's 30 days in April. So if paid on the 8th, they will get 2% discount. There's going to be $5,200 times 0.98, which is going to be what? 5,096. Correct? Oh, let's have you guys try one. Invoice date is August 28th. The amount, $4,300. Seller prepaid $350 in freight. Terms are 210 EOM. Yes. It is paid on October 7th. Find the amount paid. Nope, I mean October 7th. Well, this is August 28th. Does that get put in the August batch? No. It gets put in the September batch. The last day of September is the September 30th. So that means the discount period ends on October 10th. So it goes to October 31st. So we've established that on October 7th they do get the discount of 2%. So how are we going to calculate from there? 4,300 times 0.98. Very good. So it's going to give us 42.14 plus 350. Bless you. So 45.64. Look right?
Yep.
Cool. Trying to think if there's anything more I can do to hurt you on those. I think that's about it. Well,
Great question. So if you're
yes.
releasing like April 13th and you do 10 days, and you don't file it until April 30th, you would miss the 2% discount then, wouldn't you?
No, if this is EOM, if it's April 13th, it doesn't count. The effective date is April 30th, so you have May 10th to get the discount.
But if it's not EOM, then you
If it's not EOM, then you only have 10 days from the invoice date. So then you'd have till the 23rd, yep. That's it? There you go. Let's look at this. Let's say our invoice date is April 27th. The amount paid, or the amount owed, is $4,700. Our terms, you look confused. I'm sorry. Do you want me to go back over something? Or?
I don't understand why. Like if it's August 28th, why would it be 203?
Okay, because remember the cutoff is the 26th of the month
So for every single month.
for every single month. So if it's after the 26th, it doesn't get into the August batch. It has to go in the September batch. So let's see. Our terms down here will be 210 net 30. So we're going back to just straight dating, no modifiers here. On May 2nd, a partial payment of $3,000 is made. Find the balance after that payment. Well, May 2nd is during the discount period. So on May 2nd, they are still getting this 2% discount. The only problem is they didn't pay off the full amount. They didn't pay off the whole $4,700. They only made a partial payment of $3,000. But even though it's only a partial payment, they're still going to get this credit for the 3% discount. The problem is, or the 2% discount. The problem is we don't take the 2% of $3,000. The $3,000 is the amount that gets credited after the discount, or the amount that is paid before the discount is applied. So we need to figure out what would be the amount before the discount. You know what I'm saying? So whatever the amount is that they get credited for, that's going to be 2% means it's times 0.98, so they have to pay $3,000. So what we're doing is we're working the formula backwards to find the amount that is credited to the account. To solve this, of course, we're going to divide by 0.98. So when we have a partial payment like that, that partial payment, in this case $3,000, is divided by that percentage we get from the discount. So a 2% discount means 98% paid, divided by 0.98, which is going to give us 3,061.23. That is the amount of credit. What'd you guys get? Here, let's try it. That would actually just be 22. Yep. Because it's 224. So 3,061.22. You were doubling, rounding off. Now that's the credit. What we were asking for, the outstanding balance. So we take the 4,700. We're going to subtract the 3,061.22. And we will get $1,638.78 is the balance outstanding. Now that is one that tends to be pretty tricky for people. So we're going to go over a few examples of this.
So they paid $3,000, but the company accepted $3,000.
Exactly. They paid $3,000, but because it was during the discount period, the company credited them for $3,061.22. So let's just do this. During a 1% discount period, you paid $2,500. What is the amount of the credit? How are we going to find the amount of the credit? There you go. So the amount of the payment divided by the complement of our discount. So it's a 1% discount, it's going to be 99%. So that'd be what, 25.25?
Yeah.
Okay, now at this point, how many of you are not sure where the 0.99 came from? Is everybody good with that? Okay. How many of you are not sure where the 2525.25 came from? We're just taking the amount of our payment, $2,500, and we're dividing by that 99% comes from the 1% discount. Bonus for, yeah, exactly. So let's look at an invoice dated October 19th in the amount $2,700. Terms 210 EOM. $1,200 is paid on November 8th. Find the balance. On November 8th, do they get the discount?
Yeah.
Yes, it's EOM. So that means October 19th is going to become October 31st, the last day of October. 10 days after that, we'll take them past November 8th. So the first step in figuring out what the outstanding balance is to figure out what the credit is. How to figure out the credit? So 1,200 divided by 0.98 is what, 12, 24, 24?
12, 24,
48. 12, 24, 49. Thank you. That's the credit. To find the balance, we do what? 2,700 minus 1224, 49. So this will be what? 1475.51. The balance. So I'm going to pause there for questions. Everybody's good? Okay, we're going to have you try one. If they don't pay it by the end of the credit period or during the discount period, well, then they just get credit for that payment. And then hopefully they pay the rest off before the end of the credit period, or they start charging interest. So here's one for you to try. The invoice date is August 27th. The amount $8,100. Delivery confirmed on September 6th. Terms 210 net 30 ROG, and an amount of $4,000 paid on September 12th. Find the balance. I'll pause. So the major question is, do they get the discount? The invoice date, because it's ROG, becomes September 16th, which means the discount goes until becomes December 6th. The discount goes to September 16th. So September 12th is in the discount period. They do get 2%. So we're going to take 4,000 and do what to it? Divide by 0.98, which is going to give us $4,080 or $81.63. Okay, at this point, anybody have questions where the $4,081.63 comes from? You doing okay? You got her? Good. And of course, we take that from the 8,100. This gives us $4,018.37. Working okay? Okay, if you haven't learned by now, I always have a twist. So let's say we have an invoice dated February 18th, 2015. 2015, of course, is significant because that tells us it's not leap year. Do you guys know how to tell if it's a leap year?
Yeah, it's like every presidential election.
A leap year is if the year is divisible by 4. So 2012, 2016, 2020 will be leap years.
So like presidential election.
Yeah, I prefer not to think about that. So the amount. $3,600. Seller prepays $400 in freight. Terms. 210 net 60. $1,800 is paid on February 26th. Find the balance. Well, first of all, do they get the discount? Okay, so that's $1,800. But we do not take 1,800 divided by 0.98. Can anybody tell me why? No. There's freight. Freight is a prepaid obligation, which means when the buyer pays, that is the first thing that is paid. And there's never a discount on freight. So from the $1,800, the first $400 goes to pay the freight, which means now there's $1,400 that is left to go towards the payment, and that does get the 2% discount, so divided by 0.98, which will give us $1,428.57. That's the credit. Then what? 3,600 minus 1428.57 is $2,171.43. Let's have all of you try one like that. So our date is June 3rd. The amount, $5,800. I'm going to be lazy and just put down freight. Seller prepays freight, $600. Terms, 310 net 30. $3,000 is paid on June 10th. Find the balance. I will pause and let you guys. At this point, we can assume they get the discount, or it wouldn't be much of a problem, right? So what do we do? Why do we subtract 600? The freight. So we have to pay off the freight first. So 2,400 will be applied to the bill. Then what? Divide by 0.97 because it was a 3% discount. Dividing by 0.97 will give us 0.23. So 2474.23. And then 5,800 minus 2474.23. Comes out to be $2,325.77. 3,000, sorry. What's $1,000 amongst friends? Oh yeah, sorry. $3,325.77. Thank you. Everybody get that one? Cool. Well, again, hopefully you've learned by now I can always make it worse. Yeah. Begging will do you no good. Few of them. On March 27th, MLP Corp. purchases $12,000 in merchandise. They receive a 7, 8, 10 trade discount. Terms of sale are 110 EOM. $7,000 is paid on May 4th. Find the balance. Doesn't sound like that harmful of a problem, does it? Well, let's take a look. We start out with a list price, 12 grand. To that 12 grand, we're going to have to apply a trade discount first. A 7, 8, 10 trade discount. How do we handle that? Perfect. 0.93 times 0.92 times 0.90. 7% means 93% is paid. 8% discount means 92% is paid. 10% discount means 90% is paid. We multiply that out. 0.93 times 0.92 times 0.9. We can leave off the 0. We get 0.77004. So we're going to take our 12,000 times 0.77004, which will give us 9,240.48. You got it. That is the amount that appears on the invoice. What's the date of the invoice going to be? April 30th. Why does it go all the way to April? It's on or after the 26th, so it does not make it into the March batch. It's EOM, so it's batched by month. It gets put into the April batch, so at the end of April 30th. Or the end of April, so on April 30th. Which means the discount's going to go until May 10th. So the 7,000 payment on May 4th gets the discount. So what do we do? Do the $7,070.70 discount, or 71 cents, I should say. Got to round it correctly. Then what? So we take that invoice amount of 9,240.48 minus the 770.71. We get $2,169.77. Sound right? Any questions? Well then, let's keep going. PJ and Company purchases merchandise listed at $21,000 on August 17th. The trade discount is $710.4. Seller prepays $800 in freight. Terms 210 net 30. $9,000 is paid on August 26th. Find the balance. Where do we go? Tell me what to do.
21,000 or 0.93.
Okay. We start out with the trade discount. So that's 0.93 times 0.9, or 0.90 if you wanted to, times 0.96. So 0.80352. What do we do with that? 21,000 times the 0.80352. So 16,873.92.
How can we multiply this price versus 0.93 whatever? It only comes out like $6 difference.
If you just took 21,000 times the three of those, it should come out exactly the same.
That was close.
Okay. It should come out exactly the
Why
same.
would you have to take the point?
This?
Yeah, why
You
would
don't have to. It's just, that's the way I described it earlier, so I'm just trying to stay consistent.
Okay.
Yeah. Technically, yeah, you could just take 21,000 times these three numbers, and you're good. What do we do from there?
9,000 divided by. Or
Careful.
8,200.
Where'd the 8,200 come from?
830.
We have our $9,000 payment. But we had 800 in freight, which has to come out of the payment first. 8,200 gets applied to the invoice. And then that is divided by what? 0.98. Which gives us what? 83.60. What is it? 67 point what? 35. Perfect. So that gets subtracted from the invoice balance to give us $8,506.57. Sound right?
Yep.
All right. You guys want to try one of those? Sure you do. Okay. No, we never want to see one ever again. So on January 3rd, LMO Company buys $8,300 in merchandise. With trade discount of $825. Seller prepays freight of $600. Terms 210 EOM. They paid $3,000 on February 2nd. Find the balance. So we shall pause it here for you. Okay, so we start out. We have the trade discount 825 is 0.92 times 0.98 times 0.95, which gives us 0.85652. Correct? What do we do with that? Or 8,300 list price times 0.85652. Okay. Yeah, 7109.12. And then, okay, so that's our invoiced amount. So now we take our 3,000 payment minus the 600 for the prepaid freight, so we get a credit of 2,400 that's going to be applied towards the invoice. And then divided by 0.98, which is 2448.98. Subtract that from the 7109, which is going to give us 0.14. $4,660.14. 400?
Yeah.
4,660 sounds right, yeah. So anybody like totally lost at this point?
EOM.
Just the EOM is tough. Hopefully you'll get used to that in the homework. The biggest thing is, think of a timeline. This is January 1st, February 1st, March 1st, April 1st. The January batch actually starts with the last few days of December, goes until the 25th of January. That gets invoiced on January 31st. The February batch starts the last few days of January, goes until the 25th of February, gets invoiced on the last day of February, February 28th.
So how long works the latest date we can pay the January batch?
It all depends on whether it's a 210 or a 115 or what they have.
Okay.
But the January batch starts the last day of January. So the discount period, if it's a 210, will be the 10th of February. If it's a 115, will be the 15th of February.
So each discount is like changed based on when you pay or
Yeah.
through distributor or whatever.
Yep.
So you're doing like the middle of the month, you pay like the beginning of the month, and the discount starts at the middle of the month. So
Yeah. So the new quiz is due tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. You guys don't have any classes tomorrow, so you should have plenty of time to do your quiz.
I have a question more.
Sure.
How come we multiply by 4?
You got it?
Is this gonna be on quiz?
It might. No, this will be on the homework for next week, not on the new quiz.
Okay,
Yeah.
so wait a minute.
Sure. There's new homework due for next Tuesday. Now, of course, next Tuesday is the last lecture of Unit 2. Unfortunately, the week after that is spring break, which means you have a 2-week break before you have our Unit 2 test. Now, some people like having that extra week to study. Some people think of it as an extra week to forget, but that's not good. Like I said, some people like it because it's an extra week to study. Other people think of it, like I said, as an extra week to forget.
Can we just do the review that day of?
The day of the
Since
test.
we only have a 3-hour and most people are done with an hour.
This test usually takes a little longer, but I can make some sort of a preview.
It's a 3-hour class.
Yeah, we can try to do some sort of a review.
Class next Tuesday.
There'll be class next Tuesday. It's the week after that there's no class. The week after that, spring break.